before we get, I just wanted to point out why it is important for us to put this program on and discuss this subject. We want to make sure that everybody around the world knows that there are ways to get aid to people in Gaza, even though the borders are closed and the Israelis are not letting much through. There are still some channels whereby people can still donate money and get relief in terms of water, clean water and food to people in Gaza. And today we are featuring one such channel and one such organization that's been successfully providing this aid. So hopefully a lot of people would try to help and assist in this effort. Dania?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, Krista, for the lovely introduction. It's really a privilege to be here. The Palestine Museum's Madafeh is a wonderful program, and usually it focuses on culture and the arts, but we are in a war situation, and like Faisal said, this is just another way for people to feel like they're supporting normal people on the ground in Gaza, ordinary people, children and families who are increasingly in a desperate situation. Aid doesn't come in, or if it does come in, it comes in a very patchy way, unpredictable way into Gaza. The most basic needs are not met. People are very resourceful in Gaza, but when you don't have running water for 2 million people who are constantly having to uproot, and when the majority of them are being pushed into a sand-filled area with zero infrastructure, then it becomes really pretty serious. We are not a registered NGO. We're not a charity. We're not an organization. We're just a group of private people who got together. And the thing initially that brought us together was just belonging to a family that originates in Gaza. Just a little bit of background. I mean, I live in Zurich, and when the war started in October of last year, I felt quite frantic and desperate and very, very sad and very alone, because I'm not a political activist or anything like that. Of course, we're all charity minded and we give to causes, but when you keep hearing news, and it was by then, 2 months, almost 3 months. So I got in touch with elders in the family who had set up an educational charity effort years before, and they had wrapped it up. I mean, they'd educated close to 100 university students within Gaza from the family. And I kind of called them and I said, well, what, you guys are used to raising money as a group for something in Gaza. Are you still able to reactivate the email list? And is there an account that's still viable? He said, well, yeah, I mean, the account is inactive, but we can reuse it. It's a bank that's registered especially for collecting funds for a charity and at the Bank of Palestine. And so we quickly decided on a Zoom call. And from then we've been meeting every single week since December 7th. And we have a committee, we call it the Action Committee, that's about 20 people. But we right now, I mean, as of this point, apart from the 20 people within the Shawwa family all over the world, some were originally within Gaza, some left and found safety in Egypt with their families, and a lot of us are expats abroad. We have been able to galvanize the support of really good friends and really kind-hearted people all over the world. So we have, up until now, about 130 people who have supported the program that we're trying to continue month after month and week after week. So a lot of people are supporting us, but because the need is endless, we're finding it increasingly difficult to keep it up. It's the program, our relief efforts started with cash in hand distribution. So initially we got money in, and within the Bank of Palestine, which has branches all over Gaza, as well as in Ramallah and other cities, we were able to get the branch managers who we know personally, we're a group that has connections within Gaza. We were able to get them to pull money out, give it to the right people that we trust, to give it to the families that we have identified as needing desperate help. And initially, it was a list of 400 families. Over the months, that list has grown to about 1,100 families for the cash in hand distribution that we do every couple of months. Let's say every few months, we will do a special cash distribution effort. But around January, February, we found out that there's a desalination plant with excess capacity, and they knew that we were able to kind of get donors together, and they offered a way to distribute free desalinated drinking water. And they offered to dedicate a part of the plant just for our initiative. And so we dedicated a tap for people to come and fill up their containers. And then we started adding water trucks. And at first, the water trucks were only within Rafah. And then quickly we went into Deir al-Balah in the middle area, and Deir Yassin in the middle area as well. And initially, there was a lot of danger up in North Gaza. We couldn't get there. But by April and May, we were able to locate a very small desalination plant in northern Gaza. So we started serving northern Gaza with special water trucks as well. So right now we have 7 trucks that go out every single day, twice a day, to cover as many displacement areas as possible. And it's daily work, but our rules are we collect money and we immediately disperse it. We don't sit on money. So our goal is always to end up with a zero balance in our account. And actually today I got a desperate call from the main committee member who coordinates a lot of our stuff. And he said, "Dania, there's only $1,000 in the account." And he said we have to refill our credit with all the different desalination plants, because we have 3 areas now that have desalination plants that are still in operation. And I just reassured him that actually we do have a donation coming in. It's going to be arriving hopefully tomorrow. So it's like a daily thing. The other rule we have is transparency. We keep accounts on everything. And because we have many family members within Gaza, we have them escort the truck drivers. It's a friendship. It's not supervision or anything, but we kind of keep an eye on everything. They take photos for us and they take videos for us. Every 2 days we get videos in. And I have an iCloud shared album. So whoever wants to take a look and go in there and just see, 100 videos so far of the truck and people lining up and filling up and kids running with their containers, and a lot of photos and a lot of handwritten accounts of where they went, how many liters they filled up, how many liters they distributed. So it's very well documented. As well, for all our donors, we do every couple of months, we do a donor update and we share with them our accounts. So what was spent in every area, in every category. And we're quite transparent about that. So we cannot emphasize enough that we're a private effort, and we can't give a charity the tax benefit receipts or anything, but we do give a receipt from our admin for the contribution. So
Dania, is there a website I can point people to,
Yeah.
or basically if people donate, then you're going to be in direct touch with them?
Yeah, in direct touch. There's no website. There's just my email, and I can give full information. And because first of all, we're not registered, right? So it's a short chain of trust. People have to trust who we are and that we're getting money in and we're getting water out to people, as well as other things like occasional vegetable parcels get distributed, occasional hygiene kits get distributed. So it's a small operation, but it's high impact because thousands of people are getting helped every day. But we weren't expecting to be operating for this long, for almost 10 months now. We're not expecting this, and we were thinking that it would be over in a couple of months. So there isn't a website because we're not working that way anyway. So
and I did share your email. Is that the best way for people to get in touch with you and get involved if they are interested in donating? Okay. Yeah, so I did put that in the chat.
There's also another email that's on the flyer that I'm about to send. So you can use both. I mean, I will get both. This one is Dania Shawwa at iCloud is my personal email. No problem. You can email me there. And then there's this other one that typo.
Yeah, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll make a note of it too, so I can share it again.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So what else can I tell you? The team that we're working with are people that we know. We know them personally, and every now and then an opportunity arises. For example, vegetable prices go down, or there's a farmer that has a sudden extra capacity to offer us vegetables and fruits at a good price. So every now and then we'll get parcels made and distributed to 150 families here. And, we try to do things like that occasionally when we've already taken care of the water credit for all of the areas that we're serving. But definitely the water distribution project is our biggest success story. And thank God, because it was just by luck, actually, that we got to know the people at the desalination plant, who are also a Gaza family. So it's a matter of knowing who you're dealing with. They did get targeted, but didn't lose their whole operation. They rebuilt quickly. And after Rafah was evacuated and people moved into tents in Mawasi Khan Yunis, they were able to build another site for desalination. And the desalination all happens by the sea. And when the Israeli army invaded Rafah a few months back, they invaded from the east. So they were quite far away from it. But we unfortunately got really bad news today. I don't know if you all know what's going on in northern Gaza. It's a pretty horrific situation. For a few days now, it's been isolated. People are told to evacuate, including the hospitals. And the families that do evacuate are being targeted by quadcopters. And we just got word that the one desalination plant, which is already kind of small and limited, but they got an evacuation order, or they stand to be targeted as well. So that's not in operation anymore. So unfortunately, the one area that is actually in the most desperate situation, we can't distribute water there. So we're very, very worried.
Well, and we know that's all intentional, right? To interrupt people's ability to survive that area. They're trying to just completely ethnically cleanse northern Gaza, and that's part of how they do it, is to just make it completely unlivable. So that is really tragic news, that the desalination plant will have to be essentially abandoned.
I was always astonished that they didn't bomb the ones in Rafah and in the Mawasi, Khan Yunis, and a smaller one in Deir al-Balah. And I was always wondering, why are they leaving them alone? I always thought, well, there's a shred of humanity. They know that there's no water in the taps, but there's a shred of humanity that, that water is the last thing. Like it's the basic thing. And if you aren't feeding people, you need water to keep them alive. And if there's no sanitation infrastructure, you need water for people to keep clean, or to feel like they can address, clean wounds, or if there's
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane that now they're also just casually threatening a water provider. So what to do? I mean, we have to stay strong, and we have to stay positive, and we have to keep working. And I just cannot wait for our initiative to move from water distribution to something, down the road that's going to be the next step of people recovering their normal lives, but it's not looking like it's happening anytime soon. So, but I just want to stress to everyone that helping families in Gaza, there's no risk in doing, like, there shouldn't be an element of worry or fear or concern. These are very, very normal people, and 50% of Gaza are children, and those are the people we're worried about the most. They need to be assisted, and they need to kind of be given a chance to grow up and feel like the world was with them. Because if they know that the world stood by them and that people helped and that people cared, they'll grow up to be better human beings. And they'll grow up with the strength of overcoming the psychological trauma of being unwanted on this earth. So I mean, like you're saying in the comments, it's horrific, but the goodness in the world, I think, outweighs the evil. And we all have to act that way, so I'm just hoping that it'll end soon. But until then, the water distribution project is costing about $50,000 a month, but that amount is helping around 65,000 families every month to get enough water for a week. So it's a huge impact. And I think what more can I say about water? It's like for me personally, I've been just talking about water as it's like watering plants. It's a bit disheartening because these are not plants, these are people, and we need to give them much, much, much more than H2O. But let's start there. And everything else.
Dania, you touched on how challenging the situation is on the ground. I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about, obviously you have your channels to get funds and then to continue the water program, but clearly you have to be kind of mix it up every day based on the conditions, based on access. Like you said, now in northern Gaza, they're really trying to seal up the area and completely ethnically cleanse the area. So that makes it even more challenging. I just wonder if you could talk a little bit more about how flexible and you kind of have to think on your feet probably each and every day of how to keep this program going and to have it be successful, to have the widest reach possible that you could have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because we have so many people that we know on the ground, then we have a lot of feedback about what's available and what's not. So in the beginning, when we were raising money back in December, one thing that we did at the time was, the Kuwaiti Red Crescent was, we heard the Kuwaiti Red Crescent was successful at the time in bringing trucks in. So we decided to raise money for them, to give them $20,000 so that they could get in food and clothes and blankets and things like that. Right after that, we realized that's when, the situation with the long queues of hundreds of trucks in Egypt and everywhere else and all the entry points. And we realized you can't risk that anymore. We cannot work on bringing supplies in. So we started really doing our best to see what's available in the warehouses in Gaza. So initially in the warehouses in Gaza, we could find toothpaste, shampoos, disinfectants, that kind of thing. And we were able to give out hygiene packs to families, like including diapers, including whatever you need for in a typical family bathroom or kitchen, just to get people what they need to keep themselves clean and fresh and eliminate discomfort. Then months later, fast forward to August, September, and those warehouses are empty. I don't think there's anything that's even being hoarded, which is what's happening with cash and currency, for example. But there's no more. But then we discovered that actually people are starting to make their own, like some chemists or people who know how to do these kinds of things are filling up big bottles of water with cleaning supply, cleaning liquids and detergents and homemade shampoos and things like that. So we were able to get a whole batch of those homemade Gaza-made products and distribute them as well. So we're not going to do that again. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we will, but we do react that way. And also, like I said, if there's a sudden supply of blankets, we'll kind of give them out. But we'll leave those things like tents and blankets and sanitary pads and all of that. We'll leave those to the NGOs because they do know best how to do them. And anything medical, we'll leave to the NGOs because we're really not qualified for that. We are actually really, really seeing that people are desperate for water every day, all day, everywhere, and we have excess capacity at the desalination plants. They could produce a ton more, like they can double their capacity, but fuel is in short supply and it's very expensive. So that's why we're not able to go even bigger. I mean, we could have, if they can churn out more water, if they have enough fuel to churn out more water, we would have doubled our efforts to raise money and tripled our efforts to raise money and distribute even more. But this is the maximum that we can even get our hands on.
Dania, I noticed some people are making their own water filtering systems using natural filtration with stones and sand. There's different elements that you can do that naturally. I wonder if you're at all involved in those efforts, since you can't necessarily always keep the desalination plants running or even get more of that equipment in at the moment with the whole blockade.
Yeah, I'm really interested. And also that today at Al Jazeera, and I think I've seen her before, there was a woman who created a filtration system in her home. I think she's a scientist and she did a brilliant system. And there are people also digging wells and finding water. Those people are few and far between. The problem is we can't replicate them right now in a war situation. But we do want to see if we can start supporting creators like that, because in Gaza, necessity is the mother of invention, and a lot of actually the majority of Gaza's population is super educated and super qualified to create solutions for themselves. And even throughout the 16-year siege, they created a lovely city for themselves, a lovely kind of environment of community and care, and they were thriving in their own way. I wouldn't say that they were happy or satisfied, but they know what they need and they go ahead and do it. We, as a family, we are going to continue working not only with the communities in Gaza who are all of them are our family, but also with the municipality of Gaza. So any innovations like that can be then replicated when the urgent situation is taken care of, we will definitely continue, because right now the people who are involved on our committee are very, very experienced elders. They were involved in running Gaza at some point, or with the municipalities, or they taught, or they're business people who made sure that they gave as much as they could. They educated people. I mean, there's a lot of involvement, but there are always constraints against it. So right now, with these innovators that you're talking about, we have to keep track of them and make sure that people like us on the outside, and the beautiful thing is that we're all getting to know each other, including people who are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause, like your audience here, increasingly want to keep something in mind for after the war is over. So after the war is over, there will be opportunities to support, in farming, agriculture, science, education, especially education, and just going back to normal. It's going to require help at every level, on all levels. So we are in touch with the municipality of Gaza, because we found out that they have 250 employees, municipality employees within Gaza City in the north, who have been working nonstop. I mean, these are the people that are out there in the field, and trying to just do whatever they can in the absence of real governance and real normal life. So I think there's all of them have families. I think the decision was, we don't want to get into any kind of political entanglement in Gaza, but the municipality is non-political. So when they made it clear that they're trying to help their people sustain themselves, for example, there's a plot of land that the municipality owns that could be used to farm and grow vegetables. And they were trying to get funds to get seeds and to operate a vegetable farm basically for their employees. So you'd be supporting, so that would be feeding 250 families. We spoke to them and we said, okay, can you allow us to introduce people from within our group, from within the people that we know, our family, to come and work with you, and we will provide the funds, which wasn't a lot of money, but promise us that then you'll support us in expanding this greening project to other neighborhoods in Gaza, all over Gaza. And they said this is exactly what we want to do. They want to encourage rooftop gardening, small patches of land that neighbors might share between buildings, between houses. So now we have kind of an agreement with them that we will kind of enlist the youth of the family and their friends to support not only learning from their farming experience, like simple basic rules of what to grow, what will grow in the soil, because also the soil is a big question mark. All getting polluted now. The water quality is different. Everything has to be done differently. And then the goal is these young people will then take this and spread it all over, so that we just do a greening project, which will produce food for the local people. A lot of people are already doing this, but they're doing this in patchwork, and we want to see if we can kind of support it financially so that it spreads as much as possible, so we can kind of distribute seeds and distribute know-how and support. But those are the things we are thinking about for the future as well.
Yeah, Dania, what you're speaking to is really the way the community in Gaza is coming together. And basically, you and your family are originally from Gaza, and what you're doing is connecting with people on the ground and showing up for them and finding ways to partner. And it really reminds me, a few weeks ago, we had Dr. Khalil Khaldi, you may know him, who's a surgeon and an artist. And, one thing that sticks in my mind that he said when we had him on the program, we actually had him a couple of times, is that the way people are just showing up for each other in any way possible. Like you were saying, people know what they need and they're just figuring out how to do it. Whether it's a child that lost their family and needs care, whether it's projects of innovation like you're talking about today. And what I think is really beautiful about the project that you're talking about with the Shawwa Gaza Emergency Relief Initiative is that you are finding ways to help people on the ground and really tuning into what those needs are, and not imposing it on the community, but really partnering with people on the ground who know immediately what can help. And of course, they're there, so they know, where you can have access, what the materials are that you need to that are available to work with. You're also thinking in the future, like if and when this whole horrific, I don't even want to call it war, but this military assault on the people of Palestine is ever over, that we can get to a point where you're thinking ahead. What are the next steps? What are the projects in the future that are going to be available? So it is really just incredibly powerful, and I encourage people to get involved and support you.
Thank you. I'm going to rename my profile to my email, because I can see people already saying, can we have a link? We don't have a website, unfortunately, but I can give you all the full information. And I'd like to talk about the money part of it. We've had in the beginning no problem sending money to Bank of Palestine, which is a reputable bank that operates all over Palestine. But then eventually, when people started transferring through the normal international transfer system, things got interrupted somewhere along the way, especially in New York. I think anything that goes into Palestine is just stopped. So what is happening now is we have, if you're part of the Shawwa family, it's no problem. The money can go straight into the Shawwa services account, which is what the original philanthropy account that we have in Ramallah, Palestine, where our admin can access that money through the branch managers there. They assist with getting the money immediately into Gaza, and it goes where it needs to go. However, for non-family donors, the only way that's working now is through if the money goes through a Swiss account, which luckily I live in Zurich, so I have one, and that's been no problem at all, because the Swiss are quite neutral about money, where it goes, where it comes from. They don't seem to like harass people about it. The only thing is, I just say, just don't mention donation or Gaza, just because you never know, right? You just, and then what happens is, as soon as the money is received into my own account, I let the person know. I send it immediately to the Bank of Palestine, and then we have a whole team that tracks it. And you will get an email saying, we've received it. Thank you. It's a receipt, but it's not a tax receipt. We cannot do a tax receipt, unfortunately. But the money will reach Palestine within a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. And like I said, we do not hang on to cash. We immediately use it. And it's needed immediately and right away. I mean, we just don't, we have our weekly meetings where if we do there were months where we had, heavy donations. And that was about 6 months ago. We had a really good month in June, for example. And then what we do is we just increase the projects, and we increase the distributions, and we might do like a cash distribution, or we might do vegetables or hygiene kits and things like that. But right now, every penny is going to water because we don't have enough.
So Dania, you mentioned that, did I understand correctly that funds are actually being blocked from being transferred to certain banks or accounts in Palestine? Yeah. And that's why you're having to go through personal channels?
Yes, in general, yes. Like, it's hard to transfer money to Palestine.
Let me,
and I mean, go ahead, Faisal.
Let me mention to our audience that any one of you would like to join our panel to ask a question or to tell us what they think, or otherwise share anything else with us, please raise your hand and I will bring you on the panel, and then we can hear from you. Please do so. It'd be nice to have a few people join us.
Yeah, there's Ulrich.
We already got our friend here, so let me later on also I'd like to share with you an Instagram post I just saw that is really that we must watch, but for now let's continue our conversation here. We'll just wait to bring him on to the panel. He is joining.
Dania, I really appreciate you bringing up all the ingenuity that goes into all the creative thinking, not only on the ground, but on your end, to be able to make a difference on the ground in these really trying times. Hello, Ulrich. Welcome. Good to see you.
Please unmute.
Good to see you. I have a simple question. Actually, I had a lot, so I forgot. But I wanted to, you're filming, you telephone, you're monitoring. There are people in the in the army, and what they still call an army. I would offer another name in Zion land in Tel Aviv, who are monitoring all of that with artificial intelligence, and they are priming their bombing campaigns to that. Actually, they're so little successful, even though they have all this imagination, KI, and all this bullshit. We know where KI got them on the 17th of October, but they're absolutely caught with their pants down. Thank God. And so is it safe to do that? Shouldn't you throw away your pagers, your phones, your whatever? Gaza is small, and get the kids shoving little pieces of paper with the information. I mean, can you safely use the internet. Can you really? And before I got the question about the money, I worked with the EU during the crisis I was a diplomat there in Afghanistan. When we wanted to send money to Afghanistan, and not just anybody, they use a system. They go to market. There are people who take the money, you cash, and a day later you have it in at the person who, or not a day, maybe even a week, but they get it. Yeah, there's a name for it, which I forgot. I'm getting old.
Hawala.
Yeah, exactly.
The e-banking system is saving lives, to be honest. Like what you said is so true. We have to find new ways. People have had to find new ways. First of all, the mobile phones. Now, I think some of you might have heard that a person is targeted or they die, and then their mobile phone rings, and then whoever answers it is targeted again. It's like there's really sinister things happening. In terms of transferring money, a lot of what we do is just e-transfers. Like, for example, desalination plant, we don't have to take cash to them. It just happens via bank transfers. And I think in Palestine, they also have this quick e-transfer system. So individuals are using it. It's still valid. It's still usable. Thank God. So technology is really helping. And, the real risk is quadcopters and surveillance and what they're able to target, which can be a small child running across the street or someone on a bicycle, but it's definitely also trucks. So, for example, when we started distributing in northern Gaza back in the early spring, like in February, March, we realized quickly we can't use large trucks because those are targets. So we had to find small trucks that look like a normal van. So we had more of those, and they had to keep changing routes. And of course, the big stress point for anyone trying to distribute water is they have to keep changing routes according to the information that they get. So mobiles are essential. Mobile phones are essential because if you see a tanker coming at the end of a highway or a street, then you have to inform someone not to drive there. So you can't avoid it. The other risk with distributing water are the people themselves, because we had a situation, which is quite a funny story. He was supposed to go to a certain displacement center. The truck driver was supposed to go to a certain displacement center. This was in the Mawasi Khan Yunis, where there's a lot of sand and not much, no paved roads. And he was supposed to go somewhere specific, and he got stuck in the sand. The wheels got stuck. So all these kind people came out of their tents, and they helped and they helped and they helped, and they freed the wheels. And when the truck was able to move, they're like, hang on, we helped you out. Now you're going to help us out. And they drained the whole tank. I mean, they just took all the water. And we have to laugh because at the end of the day, we're just helping whoever needs help. And clearly these people needed the water. So it was fine. But it's just funny how, you just have to go with the flow of things. But we do also have problems with safety, and we have to keep our truck drivers safe as much as we can. It's not always easy. Some of them might be threatened with violence because someone is desperate to take their wallet, or I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but like they just have to be kept safe because they're out there every single day, the whole day, and there's like desperate people all around them, but they keep a thick skin and they're quite good natured, and they just do it, and they love doing it. They feel good doing it.
And Dania, I want to share with our audience a post on Instagram. I know if we repost it, our account will be shut down, so I'm not going to do that, but I'd like to share it with the audience for just a couple minutes. You just bear with me. Everybody knows Wizard Bisan, right? Let's listen to her post here, which is from an hour ago.
I know that this video will be taken down almost an hour, and I know that it will not do anything, but just I can't just watch it by myself, feel everything I'm feeling right now, feel angry, feel helpless by myself. I just still cannot believe that this is happening for our children. Israel until now killed almost 17,000 children in the most brutal ways ever. And yet it's not enough. 2 hours ago, these children were playing football in the street in the Shata refugee camp in the west of Gaza City, in the north of Gaza Strip. And they were like playing in the middle of the rubble of the partially destroyed places because they're children and they don't know anything else to face all of this but playing. And they were killed. 2 hours ago, they were playing around their mothers and fathers who are not helpless also. And now there are coffins and they died. They died just like the thousands of children before. These people did not evacuate the north of Gaza Strip, not only because they stick to the right to stay, but also because people are not safe in the south. People are not safe in the south. 2 days ago, Rafidia massacre in Rafidia school in Deir al-Balah happened. About 30 people were killed, and we also saw children cut into pieces, just hands away from heads, away from legs, and all these scenes that keep reminding us that they are trying to normalize all of these things. They are besieging the north of Gaza Strip for the 9th day in a row. Then when some people succeeded to escape to Gaza City, also in the north of Gaza Strip, they bombed them. They keep bombing people wherever they are, in Jabalia, in Beit Hanun, in Beit Lahia, in Saftawi, in Gaza, in Rimal, in Shata, in Shujaiya, in Tufah, everywhere, just everywhere. Because it's the thing. They don't have rules. It's a genocide. The only thing they want is to kill people. To kill the people. To reach to a zero population, no Palestinians, like annihilated Palestinians, by killing them. I know that this video will be taken down almost an hour, and I know that it will not do anything.
Okay, we're back.
Well, I know her posts are just incredible, and it is really disturbing what's happening. And I actually, Dania, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you're trying so hard to just get the basic element of life, water. You know, if you don't have water for 8 days, you die. That's it. You can go without food longer, but water is essential to life. And, you know, here we are witnessing this siege on top of siege on top of siege, this attack on northern Gaza, just strangling the people who are being defiant to stay there. And like Bisan is saying, like, you know, people are just being slaughtered on top of being slaughtered for just asserting their right to stay on their land. And just tell us how you cope with that reality of trying to make a difference in a humanitarian sense, while the actual cause of this whole mess, the lack of goodwill on the part of our world leaders, is just perpetuating and even supporting and is very complicit in perpetuating what we are witnessing day in and day out for the past year.
Also, anyone want to join, please raise your hand. I'm sorry, go ahead then.
No, I mean, I never truly in my whole entire life believed that evil is real. Never. As a Palestinian, even, I always thought coexistence was a necessity, and that we had, for me personally, I always believed in a one-state solution, equal rights for everyone. And I always thought, you know, people can't be that bad, people can't be that evil. But this genocide taught me that there are people with really, really dark views of the world. And when you say, you know, the humanitarian effort, it's the human side that we all want to save, right? It's not just bodies, it's not just keeping people alive, but it's our humanity that we want to keep alive, whether we're Palestinians, whether we're on the ground getting slaughtered, we want to be humanized. We want to be seen as human beings. And these are human beings. Just because they talk a different language and pray a little bit differently, they all are humans. And they're the people of Palestine are actually wonderful people. And the campaign of dehumanization, of Islamophobia, of painting Arabs in a certain way has been super successful. And that's very unfortunate. And it's only through social media and technology these days that you see that we are all the same, that you see people who cry in the same way and who hurt in the same way and bleed in the same way as everyone else. But all I can say is right now that I know that evil does exist and leaders are criminals. I mean, I have to say it. I don't know where this recording is going to end up, but they should all be tried and, as far as I'm concerned, put away forever. I mean, it's unforgivable. I don't think I can ever forgive or forget. But at the end of the day, it's the good people of the world, including in the United States and in Europe, the normal people like you and me, who are going to save our common humanity by taking action. And in the end, the action that needs to be taken is to disassemble the military complex, the war profiteers who are making these weapons and profiting billions out of it. And that's why the war is not ending, because people are making a lot of money manufacturing and selling weapons of death and destruction, including AI machines, quadcopters that can emit noises and the noises of babies crying that can target things, and precision weapons, and bunker busters that are being tested in Gaza right now. This is big business. And when you hear the letters BDS, please pay attention and go on the website and look at the information that explains why boycotting is essential. It's essential to boycott the companies that support the Israeli war machine and that support the Zionist project. This has nothing to do with Judaism or being Jewish or being Muslim at all. This is a human rights abuse at the largest scale. And so boycotting financially and just being super sensitive to the underbelly, I guess, of this invisible industry that we're all kind of ignoring, weapons manufacturing and the politicians that are bought by those companies. That's the tragedy. And that's a common problem we all have. It's not just about Palestine, because these are the people that are not putting tax money into what their own citizens need. Rescues during hurricanes, or relieving student debt, or better living conditions, better medical care, better, just support systems for the vulnerable people in society. I mean, those things are being neglected. Why? Money's being sent to buy more and more weapons in countries that have resources that eventually those leaders will want to get their hands on. So it's like a really ugly situation. And I think, like I said, I'm not a very political person, but we all have to be a little bit more politically aware and a little bit more loud in our stand against the powers that be. We can't just let things happen and be blind to it. None of us are powerful enough to stop it, but we all have a voice, and it's really uncomfortable to raise our voice. I'm a very shy person. I'm a very private person. I don't like to post on social media, but it's like you have to do it. I mean, it has to be done, and whatever these Western governments do, in the end, they affect who lives and dies in our part of the world. And that's real. It's, one politician might look like a crazy psychopath, and the other lady might look like she's clean cut and full of smiles and full of values that you might share with her. But in a way, she's also a mass murderer, because she is approving the murder weapons over and over and over and over, and she's not doing anything to stop it. So, I mean, it's really, really, really quite serious, I would say. And I mean,
well, Dania, you raised such an important point, really, about why, you know, because some Americans or people around the world say, you know, why should I care about Palestine? But you're really putting your finger on it, that the resources that are going to these incredible military profits and engagement on the ground that is just slaughtering people, those resources are not being spent at home for communities in need, for healthcare, education, infrastructure. You know, we saw with you mentioned the hurricane that is just devastated communities here in the United States. The money that the government sent there was in the millions. And we know that the money going to the Israeli military is in the tens of billions. There's no comparison in terms of the resources that are allocated for communities in need right here at home in the US, I'm speaking for at the moment. And those resources that are going to war, death, and the destruction of an entire people as we speak. It's
Right.
there's no comparison. And yeah, Americans do need to pay attention to that, because that's our tax dollars.
Okay, thank you, Krista.
Faisal?
And yes, we're gonna wrap up for a little over the hour. Thank you so much, Dania, for being with us today. Very, very eloquent articulation of the issues about Gaza, and great effort to provide relief for people in Gaza. We do have a final hand raised here, and I was gonna end, but we'll give Nassim a chance to say a few things here. Please accept, and yes, and if you can.
And I did post Dania's contact information several times for those of you who would like to reach out and donate to this incredible project.
Yep. Nassim,
Yeah.
please.
Here I am. Yeah. So
Hi, welcome, Nassim. Thanks for coming on.
Tell us who you are and where you are, and a little bit about yourself and what you think. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm in Victoria. I'm almost retired physician, and have a huge, I don't know even how to put it. I didn't think I would have to talk about myself, but just this whole situation in Palestine has been something that I have felt strongly about for many, many years, and what's going on right now just is destroying, and I really feel helpless to do anything about it. And so I'm so encouraged to hear about this initiative and the kind of work that you're doing that seems so effective and so well done, and done by people who live in that land. And so really I just came on to ask, because I've just been composing an email to all the people I can think of to tell them about this. And so I'm assuming I can add your email to that as a contact, and also to find out how donations can be made.
Yeah, and Nassim, if you email me, I have a full I have a full email information pack that I can send, including infographics. Oh, I don't know if you can see them, that look like this. I put them up on the chat, but I can put them up again. But if you email me, I'll send you something that you can then forward to your friends.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you
For joining us, and also I'd like to thank everybody who joined us today as well, and thank you, Dania, and we hope to see you again on this program and on our other programs as well. And Krista, thank you for co-hosting with me. I did have to drop off a while ago because I spilled a cup of coffee on my keyboard, and I had to
Oh my goodness.
upside down, and I didn't want people to get dizzy watching it. And then my screen got so big, I couldn't see anything, so I had to shut off the computer. So sorry about that. Anyway,
Thank you.
we're back in business. So hopefully I don't have to stick the computer in a pile of rice for it to dry out. But
I invite all of your attendees to send me a quick email, and I will send you all a little bit more information as well. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Sounds good. And I'll post the information one more time. You can reach out to Dania directly with her personal emails. The first email listed there, and the second one is for the project itself. So thank you everyone for tuning in.
Keep an eye on your email because we will be sending an email in a couple of days about the programming for next weekend in terms of a film and a guest for our Madafeh program. Thank you so much, and Free Palestine. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ma salama, everyone. Take care.